It's unbelievable. We talk a lot about the financial part of America. That's a great part too, believe me. But to have your children and your spouse feel the way that mine do about me is, I don't know how you could put a price tag on that, or your parents. Both my parents have passed now, unfortunately. So, but one of the great things about that is, you know, my parents we didn't have money. Obviously, you can see that. My dad, I think my mom didn't even start working until she was 50 or something like that. My dad always worked. He worked in a place called Norris Industries. They make toilets and bathtubs and all that stuff. He worked there until he retired, and then he used to cut hair every day and on the weekends. You know, they would start coming to our house at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. Roberto, estás aquí? And then he'd be cutting hair. He'd cut hair all day Saturday and all day Sunday, and there was just tons of people at our house all the time. And my dad was like, he had the most amazing personality ever. He was just amazing. He was so, I have never yet seen anybody as good with people as my dad was with people. So I had a great example of how to be with people, how to treat people, you know, and how to love people and all that. So that's been instrumental in my business, because if you don't really care about people, it's hard to build a big team. People can feel if you really care about them, or you see them as a means to an end. And when you start seeing people as a means to an end, then they feel it, and they're never going to have the kind of commitment to you or to what you're trying to do if they do. It's very important that your intent's correct. And no matter what, my thing has always been, I want to see people do better. I want to help people. My whole mission in life has always been to do that. And I want to make a lot of money. I mean, that's a given. Who doesn't want to do better financially? Who doesn't want to take care of their family and be able to offer your children? You know, Janae went to Stanford, and then she went to, got her master's in screenwriting from AFI, which is American Film Institute, which is one of the top film schools in the country. And recently had her first full feature film that she wrote and directed came out. So it's really, and Dak now is a partner in a hedge fund, and he's doing really great. They just raised a huge amount of money right now, and they're going to be starting. So they're just doing great. You know, they're doing awesome. And everything about rearing the kids has been geared towards getting them prepared to be on their own and do their own thing, right? And so I've always, you know, I'm a huge proponent, of course, of personal development. I talk about it all the time, incessantly. You should follow me on Twitter, @Hector. If you're not on Twitter, it's free, it's easy to get on, and you should follow me. I put out a lot of tweets every day, usually, because you know, the reason I put so many tweets out, I'm always reading, and so as soon as I read something, I see something, and I go, oh, this would be great, I tweet it out. I'm doing it all the time, usually, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 or 15 every day. But they're all geared towards personal development and the kind of thinking that you have to be successful to be a winner. And that's what it's all geared about. It's, you know, it's no, you know, I don't make political points or anything. It's just strictly about how to think. And for you, right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be based on your current level of thinking, your current level of awareness. You can't be any place other than you are right now. So if you don't like where you are right now, then you need to start working hard on improving your thinking, because your thinking is why you are where you are. So even if you don't agree with that, it doesn't matter, it's still true. All right, your thinking dictates everything in your life, 100%. And you attract and create everything in your life through your thinking. Whether you agree with that or not, it doesn't matter, because that's the truth, okay? So it's just what is. Because how you think thought is actually, it's a thing, it's like a force. And so when you start thinking about a thing, you know, think about, like, if you're married or if you have a partner, when you first meet that person that you kind of are really attracted to and you want to be with them a lot, what do you think about all the time? Yeah. And everything you're thinking about them, always thinking about them, and then what happens, assuming they feel some level of attraction towards you, right? You're not a stalker. Then you start spending more time together, right? You look for ways to try to be around that person and all that, and that's what happens. But that's also true with business, money, health. You name the thing, it's all the same thing. So what you think about, probably the best way to say it is, incessantly, right? Chuck asked me, are you obsessive compulsive? And I said, absolutely. I'm absolutely obsessive compulsive. But obsessive compulsive, if you're there's some obsessive compulsive which can be negative, right? But obsessive compulsive with succeeding and being successful and doing well is not a bad thing. Okay, assuming you do it in a somewhat healthy way and you don't ignore your family and ignore what things that are important. I've always been obsessive compulsive, and I still am, and my wife is more obsessive compulsive than I am. So and our kids are like that too in a way, but all towards something positive, in other words, right? So being obsessive about a thing is not a bad thing. Me being obsessive about building a Primerica business ultimately has helped a lot of people. I was looking at that recently. Right now in Primerica, for example, there are basically 50 people that do over $250,000 or more through thirds, and we have 10 of them. I have 10 of them of the 50 in the whole company, which is 20%, right? And we have another 5 that are between 200 and 250. So we'll probably have 15 of that number very soon. Probably within the next 6 to 12 months, I'm sure we'll have that. And so being obsessive compulsive created that, right? Last month we did 3.1 million in premium, and which is a record. We grew our business. I have a big business. I have one of the bigger businesses in Primerica. We grew 20% year over year from last August to this August. So that's a pretty big increase. And most of you never see me, right? Because I don't want to. People don't like that, but that's too bad, right? That's the reason I do Twitter, right? I'm on Twitter. I do a conference call, a call every week. That's free. Let me give you the number, all right? You should call. You should have and all your people should. Don was saying how much that has helped your business a lot, right?
I put them on the day they join the business.
Yeah, put them on and get them listening. Yeah, the call is. Let me tell you what the call's about. The call is kind of basically my Monday morning managers meeting. So if those of you that were around me, like Steve and Steve were here years ago, those are the kinds of things I used to talk about on Monday morning, right? Always about thinking. Because I always have known, I've known this for years and years and years, that the way you think determines what you do, and what you do determines what kind of results you get. Okay, so it's always about thinking. So that's what it's about, and it's generic because I can't talk about Primerica training stuff on that call because it's public, so I can't do a lot of stuff that I would normally do. Like today, I would say stuff that I wouldn't say in that call, for example. But on that call, I have to be a little more generic. But the bottom line of that, it doesn't matter what you do, what it takes to be successful is the same. It's always in how you think, okay? So that call is to help you, to help your people start thinking the way a person that's successful would think. As soon as you start thinking like a successful person, you're going to start acting like a successful person. And then when you start acting like a successful person, you're going to start creating the results that successful people create. It's just simple. It's very simple. So, when things aren't going well for you, I guarantee you have stinking thinking, okay? You just do. You may be feeling sorry for yourself, or blaming other people for your situation, or blaming the company, or blaming all this stuff, but it's never that, right? Because right now in the company, lots of people are doing well, right? Like even within my own organization, I had a record month, but a lot of people in my business didn't have a record month, okay? So see, and those people that aren't having record months could be coming up with all kinds of excuses, but the result is, the bottom line, there is no excuse, because there's people doing it. There's always people winning, and there's always people losing, right? Yeah. Even in a terrible economy like we have right now in this country, right? The economy's been bad. There's, 92 million people that are working age aren't working right now. So 46 or 7 million people on food stamps. I mean, Economically, the country is a frickin' mess, okay? And, but you know what? A lot of people are doing well. They're just coming out with the new iPhone today, right? I mean, they already had pre-sold over 4 million iPhones.
Wow.
So Apple's doing okay, right? Apple's doing fine. There's a lot of people that are doing fine, right? I just saw Larry Ellison, his net worth just went to $46 billion. He's a CEO of Oracle, right? In fact, the chairman, he's actually changing right now. He's getting rid of the CEO position and becoming chairman. And the current chairman, Jeff Henley, is a friend of mine. I know Jeff. I play golf with Jeff. And so Jeff, Jeff is leaving, and Larry's doing that thing. But the bottom line is, there's always companies doing well, right? There's always people doing well. So if there's always people doing well, but you're not doing well, what could it be? What could it be? The point is, you got to stop looking outside of yourself, because it's not where it's happening. The problem isn't outside. It isn't your upline or your downline or the company or your spouse or your upbringing or your ethnic background or your religious affiliation. None of that is the issue. It's always what's going on right here between your two ears. That's always the issue. All right? And those of you around me, I say this all the time. I repeat myself incessantly. If you notice that, I'm always saying basically the same thing over and over, maybe in a little different way, but always the same thing, hoping one day you'll actually get it. Okay? Because when you get it, it's like riding a bike. Once you get it, you get it.
Right.
You don't have to relearn how to ride a bike. Once you get that thinking is everything, and you start really focusing on improving your thinking, then everything gets easier. I have a saying, when you become more aware, life gets fun and easy. That's that. I don't think anybody's ever said, that's my saying, I made that up, okay? When you become more aware, life gets fun and easy. It's kind of like when you first start Primerica. Those of you who've been around a while and you've had some level of success, when you first start, you don't know anything about anything relative to Primerica. You don't know anything about how cash value works, you don't know how mutual funds work, you don't know how to sell, you don't know a lot of things when you first got started. I mean, when you first got started, you were working in a warehouse. What did you know about selling or anything? Nothing, okay? So yeah, your level of awareness was like here, right? And you know what I'm talking about. Everybody that starts, that's never been in sales before, they start way down here from a level of awareness. Then what you do, you start coming to meetings, you get training, right? You become a little more aware, right? You start learning, oh, I see cash value is not very good, the term is better, investing in a mutual fund is better than investing in a bank account or a cash value policy. Oh, investing in a qualified account saves you, on interest, so your investment grows tax deferred, and you can accumulate more money over time, and you start becoming what? More aware, right? You just become more and more aware. So as your level of awareness grows, your ability to close transactions grows too. Right? Your ability to explain what we do, how it works, why it's good for them, what the features and benefits are, all that stuff starts growing. So then what happens, when that happens, the business starts to get easier, right? I mean, so closing a security sale for you, Steve, is a piece of cake, right? Do you go into a securities transaction, potential transaction with a client and go, oh my God, I hope they like me, I hope they buy from me. No, you don't do that. You go in going, I'm going to lay it out for them. I'm going to do it in a really, clear, cohesive way. They're going to see it, and then they're going to want to invest with me. All right? And that's basically it. You don't fret about it, but you know why? Because he's really good at that. His awareness level relative to investments is really high. So then that part of the business for him is very easy. It's not like work. You with me? Yep. So if the business is feeling like work, or like it feels like you're like running through quicksand, and it's because your awareness level is too low. Okay, that's the problem. There's nothing, by the way, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with you, and you don't have to go, oh, I'm not cut out for this. That's what losers say. Oh, I'm not cut out for this. I'm not cut out for sales. I'm not cut out for the financial. That's bullshit, okay? That's not true. The truth is, your level of awareness relative to our products and how they work and all that and how our comp works is really low, so you can't explain it to me so that it makes sense to them, so they feel compelled to want to get involved either as a client or as a recruit. That's the real problem. That's why training is everything, and that you don't spend more energy training people is retarded. I had huge growth because I'm a trainer. I am not a motivator. And you notice even right now, I'm not telling you a stupid story.
One of the reasons I don't like to go to Primerica events is the people that are winning big get up on stage, they're making $500, $1 million a year or whatever, and they tell stories. And then you got people like you in the audience who are going, please just teach me how you did it. What did you do? What are you doing? What was your day like? What was your focus? I want to know how you did it. I don't need to know any more stories. Because the stories can't help you. But teaching people how to do it can help them. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Because to me, that has always driven me frickin' insane. You know, I mean, it just drives me crazy. So, for you that are very good at the business, if you could just figure out, I'm really good when I get on an appointment, right? There's a lot of you in here. How many of you in here, if you get on a qualified appointment, in a good market, good family and everything, are closing, say, 70+% of the time. There's a lot of you. Every one of you who raised your hand, you should make $1 million a year. There's no reason not to make $1 million a year. For you not to make $1 million a year is really simply an issue of you not understanding the ramifications of teaching what you know clearly to other people who are motivated. This is the big thing where I really started exploding my business, is when I was very good at the sales part. I always was, even from the very beginning, I was very good. When I first got in the business in 1984, that first year I was part-time, made $18,000, like they said on the video there, right? That year, in 1984, I was part-time that year, and I used to basically just work a couple days a week because I had a very demanding job. So, but I could close. I knew how to close. So I was closing like 80%. I closed everybody I sat down with that was qualified, right? So what happens if you train people to be able to close? Closing is the whole key, you know. That people don't understand this part always, it baffles me too. That if people can't close, they can't close a sale, they can't make money. If they can't close a recruit on join the business, then they can't grow their business. If they can't close when they field train people, then they can't get people to stay. If people can't close, in other words, get a check from a client or get a check from a recruit, right? Closing is your ability to get a check from them, willing to write you a check for an IBA or for a life sale or for an investment or for whatever, okay? If you can't get them to give you a check, you can't get paid. Okay? So if your people don't have the ability to do that, they cannot stay in Primerica long range.
Right.
You with me on that?
Yes.
They cannot, because they're not going to keep coming to meetings and being out of their home, away from their family, and not having some results. The result is getting a check, right? Making money.
Yes.
So they have to know how to do that for them to stay. The only way you're ever going to have people to stay in any significant number is you've got to teach people how to be closers. That was probably the #1 thing I did, Lynn. I mean, is that right? I mean, I taught you how to close, right? I mean, Steve, I taught you guys how to close. I taught you how to close. That's what Martin, I've taught you how to close. How to get a check.
Yep.
No check, no money.
Right.
No check for a recruit, no growth. Your people don't make a check, they leave.
That's right.
It's not complicated. And nobody talks about it in Primerica. Who talks about it?
Right.
Nobody. I never hear anybody talking about that because they're embarrassed by that. They're embarrassed by the fact that you close people and you get them to say yes, right? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It never has made any sense to me. Even when Art was here, I was always because I was a Hopkins student and all that, I got beat up by Art Williams, by everybody, about being a closer. Except that I have more people, in the size of organization I have, nobody has more people making more money than I do. Period. That's not even up for negotiation or objection. I just have more people making more money than anyone else. And not because I'm better, I'm this superhuman, because I teach closing.
Right.
Always taught closing. If I go on an appointment and it's qualified, I know for me that I'm going to probably have a 90% chance to do business with these people. Right? And if they're recruitable, I'm going to recruit them. I'm not going in and going, oh, I hope this goes well, I hope they like me. I never felt like that, right? And if you're trained properly, you should never feel that way either. Which made me want to be aggressively being on appointments all the time, because I knew if I was in appointments that I could make something positive happen. I knew that would happen. I knew something good would come from me being on an appointment, any point. Either I'm going to close a sale, I'm going to recruit them and close a sale, I'm going to get referrals, something good's going to happen. So my focus was always, like Jan said, she even said that, right? Yep. I trained her well too, right? It's always about either being on an appointment or working to be on an appointment, right? That was always what I was doing, because I knew that's how I could grow my business. Because if you're not in an appointment, you can't recruit anybody, and you can't close a transaction. So if you're not in an appointment, then everything else you're doing doesn't really matter, because you can't move your business forward if you're not on appointments. Right. And so all I thought about was being on appointments. Okay? So if that is not what you're thinking about 80% of the time plus, then you're just thinking about the wrong stuff. Right? So you need to be really, really, really focused on getting yourself on lots and lots and lots of appointments. And by the way, the more appointments you get on, the more you learn. You learn what works, what doesn't work. And you can start streamlining your approach and your presentation and how to do things. And you see what's really, really working, what's not. And then the next step is you got to get really good. One of the questions I always ask myself all the time is, how can I become more clear at explaining how I get those results to Kurt, so that Kurt has the ability to do exactly what I'm doing. Because I know if Kurt does exactly what I'm doing, the more clear I am, the more specific I am about how I get those results. And when I teach people, I'm very clear about how I do that. Then that means I can get Kurt up to a much higher level. Hopefully at some point, if he's very motivated, he can get to the same level I'm at, and he can close like I close. And if I can get him to close like I close, right, he's going to be an RVP. He's going to make money. He's going to stay, which is the most important thing, because you can't look without retention. Retention is when somebody signs up, they do an IBA. If they stay, right, that's called retention. If they leave, it's the opposite of retention, right? I don't know what the word is for that, right? But there's an opposite. So the bottom line is, for me to grow my business, what do I have to have more of? Retention. I've got to retain people to grow. I can't. Right now, for most people in Primerica, they have basically a revolving door. It's like a sieve. They put it in, it goes out. Put it in, goes out. Not much stay. And why people don't stay is because people don't understand what I'm talking to you about right now. They don't put enough emphasis on teaching people how to close, how to get results. That's why you have people leaving. That's why you recruit 10 people and get one person licensed, or maybe 1.5 person licensed. It's always about that. Because if I recruit a guy like Kurt, and I field train him, and I teach him what to do, and he sees results, because I'm a closer, he sees we go on 10 good appointments, because I'm not going to let him take me on any bad ones. Let's say we close 7 or 8 out of the 10, right? He's going to see success. Is he going to believe that it works or it doesn't work? Okay, so if he believes it works, then he's going to be more motivated now, right? Especially if I recruit 2 or 3 people, he's going to be more motivated to do what? To get licensed. To get licensed. The better results he sees in his field training, the more motivated he's going to be licensed. And that's what I need him to do, right? Plus, if he sees a lot of appointments, and he sees the result, and he sees how to do it, and then on top of that, every time we have an appointment, I debrief him, right? What debriefing is, this is what they do in the military, right? So in other words, they go on a mission, and then they come back and they debrief, right? They debrief, which is go over what happened, what could we have done better, how did we get the results we got. That's deep. Anybody in the military here ever been in the military? He's way shaking. He says, you know what I'm talking about, right? Exactly what you're talking about. Debrief. I did this when I opened the door and you introduced me, and I introduced myself this way. This is why I did that. And we sat down. This is why I asked questions and why I presented it this way. And when they asked this is why I responded in that way. And I'm going through it and explaining to them exactly what I did, why I did it, what I was thinking, why I was thinking it, and what kind of results I wanted to get from that. I want them to understand it completely. You might go, oh man, that's a lot. It's not a lot, because what I want to do, I want to turn Kurt into Bean. Right? I got big fast because I turned a lot of people into Bean. because I was good, all right? I was very good across the kitchen table. And I taught people how to be very good across the kitchen. If you follow me, I'm always talking about, right? You should be focused on training your people, turning them into pros at the kitchen table, right? I say that all the time. You should be turning your people into pros at the kitchen table because that's where Primerica happens. It should happen. 90% of Primerica is at the kitchen table. Okay, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? So I want my people to be pros at the kitchen table. If they're pros at the kitchen table and they get on enough appointments and they're in the right market, they're going to have success. It's slam dunk. It's about as much of a guarantee as you could ever get in a business, right? It's a guarantee. It's a lock. Like when now the Kurt or Rick go on appointments, or any of my people, right? Martin, I don't go, oh, I wonder if they're going to close if they're on a good appointment. I mean, think about that, right? And you don't even think about that. Yeah, it's like you know, you get in the right market and it's like cha-ching. That's what you think, right? So what you should be doing is getting on more appointments and teaching people to do exactly what you do when you get on those appointments. And I say this, but you can't be too meticulous about training on how to do it exactly correctly, okay? You got to be really, really meticulous about that. I mean, I don't have time to go into the training and stuff so much, but what I'm trying to share with you right now is how I did what I did. How did I take my income from zero, and 60 months later I'm making $855,000 a year? And by the way, that was in 1988. Okay, so how many years ago was that? And if you do the future value calculator, what $855,000 was worth in 1988, what it would be worth today? It's like $1.6 million or $1.7 million. So essentially, in my 5th year, I made $1.6 million, $1.7 million. Okay, 60 months. How would you like to go in 60 months from where you are from zero to $1.6 million 5 years from now? What would you be willing to do to do that, though? See, how I was able to do that. I was fanatical about training. I still am fanatical. I'm talking about it incessantly. I'm always talking about training. Now, you've got to find the right people, too, right? Okay, so and recruiting is critical. There's no don't get me wrong. It's absolutely critical. But I want you to know training is equally, if not more, critical because even in my very best base shop year, which is 1988, that was the best year I ever had in my base shop in terms of production. I averaged 32 recruits and 153 life sales per month for that year. 32 recruits. 153 life sales. That equates to 5 life sales for every recruit. Okay? Yeah. Nobody's even doing anything remotely close to that right now. Okay? It's not that they couldn't do it either, by the way. It's not that I'm like a genius or better than that. It's not that. It's the focus is wrong. It's not that I was better. It's that what I focused on was teaching people how to close, how to be pros at the kitchen table. People today, they focus on motivating people. The problem with motivating people is you can't do it. You can't. It's impossible. Yeah, I could motivate you. I could run a contest and motivate you for a couple of weeks or 3 or 4 or maybe even a month. But then you revert right back to who you are. Okay? So what you have to learn how to do now is really focus on recruiting motivated people. Now, if you're motivated, I can help you make $1 million a year. I have no question at all that I could teach you and help you make $1 million a year if you're motivated and you actually do what I tell you to do and you listen to me. Most people don't, okay? Vast majority of people I've ever recruited, they listen to me like maybe 50, 60%, but not 100%, right? Very few. The only person that ever really listened to me like totally was Rick Susie. Only one ever. Chris Howard did better than most too, but Rick's the only guy I've ever recruited in my entire career that actually did everything I told him to do. Like everything. Right? And even today, still does. Still the most coachable guy in my business by far, Rick Susie. He's doing pretty good, right? Yeah. That's a clue, by the way. Okay? So, where was that? All right. So, I just wanted to say that was like not planned what I just talked to you about right now for the last, whatever, how long I've been up here. But I wanted to talk about what's stopping you. Because there's something stopping you. Right? If you're not having the kind of success that you want to have, something is stopping you. I don't know what it is because everybody's different. Everybody has a different thing that's stopping them, okay? I wrote 10 things that can be, either one, your skill sets are too low. So if your skill sets are too low, right, skill sets are too low, your ratios are gonna be very low as well, right?
Yes.
So if you're having, you call to set up 10 appointments and you're setting up one, you have very low skill sets, okay? Nobody goes 100%, okay? But it shouldn't be 1 out of 10, it should be maybe 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10, okay? Something like that. So if that could be what's stopping you. That is fixable. You can work on your skill sets, right? There's all kinds of audios. One of the things if I were you, right? If I was starting knowing what I know today, if I were you, I would get my Overcoming Objection CD. I listened to that probably like 200 times. Why so much? Okay, why so much? Because you want to get it so that everything that you hear is reflexive, where there's no thinking involved in it. The problem for most of you, if you're not doing really well, is when you're on appointments or when you're talking to people, you're thinking a lot. And when you're thinking, then you can't be relaxed and normal and engaged. And also when you're thinking, you can't be paying attention to what the person's saying or doing, their body language, their inflections. You can't pay attention because you're thinking about what do I need to say next? What do I need to say next? Right? That's what you're doing. So you can't be, like when you see a professional athlete, you can get results, and you can, but the better you get, the less thinking that's going on, the easier it is to do whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't matter what it is. Like when you're driving a car, when you're driving, I remember when I was in college, right, I had a Volkswagen, 72 Volkswagen, right? It was stick shift. So I used to drive from Chino to Laverne. I went to the University of Laverne, so I drive from Chino every day, the same way, right? And I can't tell you how many days I would either driving home or driving to school, and I would get there and I'd go, I couldn't even remember getting there. Like how I got there. Do you ever do that? Like when you drive to a repetitive place, you get there and you just don't even know, like, shit, I was in a trance or something because I don't even remember driving here. Why can you do that? Because it's so reflexive, right? That's the way you want to get with all the different parts of our Primerica business. If you start getting that way with your Primerica business, it gets easy. Like if I'm talking to somebody about the business, I'm not nervous or worried about it only because I know exactly what I'm going to do. If they say this, I know what I'm going to say already. I already have it all down. I'm not thinking about it because I've done the work beforehand to be ready for that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one. Number two, your knowledge is too low. In other words, you don't know how the difference between cash value and term insurance, why they're different, or how universal variable life works. You don't know how that works, or you don't know how a mutual fund works, or you don't know, your knowledge base is too low. You don't know how our compensation works when you're trying to recruit somebody. You don't know how to explain the comp to the person you're trying to recruit to get them excited, right? You don't know how it works. So if your knowledge level is too low, you can fix that too. That's the first two, skill sets, knowledge, are simply, you have to apply yourself. If you're going to go back to school to become an attorney, what would you have to do? You'd have to study for years, and then you'd have to study for the bar, then you have to take there's a lot of work involved. Or if you're going to become a doctor, or you're going to become any kind of professional that requires, a high level, an engineer, a high level of training, you got to invest time and energy, right? It doesn't you don't just go, hey, I want to be an engineer. Let me see if I can go apply a job at an engineering firm and see if I can get a job. No, you have to know what the hell you're doing, right? Yep. Okay, so why would you think you could come here and not have to know every part of the business?
Exactly.
How does that work? But you want to make a big money, but you don't want to do any of the work involved that people that make big money do? Come on. It doesn't work like that. This is the real world, right? So, or number three, your fear level's too high. But you know why your fear level is too high? Is because your knowledge and your skill sets are too low.
Yeah.
Those of you that are really afraid, the real reason is because you have low skill level, low knowledge level. That creates a high level of fear. What if they ask me this question? What if they do this? What, right? You're worried, right? So you're afraid because you don't really know what you should know, right? You haven't done your homework, and so then your fear level's high. Like Kurt, when you talk to somebody, do you have a high fear level?
No.
No, it's very low. Even at this stage, even when I was prospecting, I would feel a little nervous no matter who I talked to. I would feel a little bit of nervousness, okay? But it wouldn't be fear.
Right.
You with me, Don? It's not fear, it's just a little nervousness because you don't know how they're gonna react, if they're gonna reject you right away. You don't know, anytime you don't know what the outcome of a thing is, there's always a little apprehension, a little bit of nervousness. But I wouldn't call it fear. Fear is like, paralyzes you. Fear paralyzes you. Fear stops you from talking to them. Fear, right? So a lot of you don't talk to people. You know you should talk to these people or call these people, but you don't. Why? Because you're afraid. What are you afraid of? Not knowing what to say or saying the wrong thing or being rejected or whatever. It's fear. Fear is probably the most detrimental thing that we have going against us, right? In order of doing what we really want to do. And so the way to minimize fear and minimize it to the point where it becomes irrelevant is to really grow your skill set, really grow your knowledge base. So that's why when I'm doing training, I'm always focusing on skills, knowledge, skills, knowledge, skills, knowledge, skills, knowledge, okay? Why? Because I know if I can get your skill and your knowledge up, your fear will go down and you'll be more apt to prospect, to make a phone call, go see people, you'll feel more comfortable to field train a new person. You'll do more if your skill sets and your knowledge are high, your fear will go down, the probability of you doing more will go up. Make sense?
Yes.
Is it 100%? No, nothing is, okay? Nothing is. But if you don't do the skill and the knowledge and focus on that, you'll never get people's fear level low enough for them to do anything.
Right.
Do you guys have a lot of people come to your meetings that don't do crap?
Yes.
Guaranteed, low skill level, low knowledge base, and so they're afraid. Okay? I don't even have to talk to them. I know that's the problem, right? So then what am I going to focus on? Raising their skill level, raising their knowledge base. Their fear level will automatically go down. That's why your Saturday training should be 10% motivation and 90% how to do it.
Right.
The more you do how to do it, the more people will actually do it. In fact, when I had a base shop, a big base shop, and I was training people, my Saturday trainings, I would all the time, if I was going over a thing, I would go over it using overheads. You guys still use overheads, huh? But using overheads,
We set it up for you.
okay, just in case, right? I used overheads and I would show exactly how I would like present a break down a cash value policy, or how I would present securities or an IRA. I would always show and have somebody, and I would show exactly how I did it. Okay, I would treat every Saturday training like every single one of you were on a field training sale with me.
Right.
That's how I treated Saturday. So I knew I couldn't, and when I had a big base shop, this is what my base shop looked like, right here. Okay, this was my base shop. I had meetings like this on Saturday mornings. I had a meeting room like this, just my base shop. And so then what I would do is I would show exactly how to do that, and I would field train. Since I knew I couldn't possibly physically field train you all, but I could on Saturday field train everybody.
That's right.
So then I would treat Saturday training, the stuff I would work on, I would treat it like as if I was on an appointment, going over what I would do. Because the bottom line is, it's not enough just to explain how an IRA works, or how a mutual fund works, or how a cash value policy works. It's not enough to just do that. It's how do you present it to a prospect, a potential client. That's the key. And then how do you close them? How do you overcome their objections? And how do you get them to say, yes, I want to make a change from my trash value policy to your term policy, and why I want to stop saving in Bank of America and I want to start saving in a mutual fund. Why? How? How do you do that?
Right.
Huh? So if you don't go over exactly how you would do that, how do you get everybody to do that? Because you can't count on your leaders in your base shop to do it as well as you do it.
Right.
They don't do it as well as you do it, and I wanted everybody to do it like I did it, and I wouldn't let people do that until they were doing it like I was doing it.
Right.
Okay? And make sure they did it like I did it. And then even when I started having people do it, I would have them do it, right? So I had Kurt do it, and you know, because Kurt lived this, right? So Kurt would go over stuff, and then afterwards he did a really good job. After he was finished, I'd get up and I would fix his mess, okay, what he did wrong. But I wouldn't make him feel bad. I would say, okay, listen, also in addition to what Kurt said, you need to do this, this, and this. I would make sure that I went over all the stuff he missed, because his awareness level at that point was not what it is today, right? So I knew he missed 2 or 3 things that I knew, but this is how he trained. But that was training him on how to train them.
Right.
Also, see? Am I making any sense here? Okay. This stuff that I'm talking about is why I've made $65 million in Primerica, okay? This is the reason. I am not a motivator. I do not believe in motivation. I think it's a crock, okay? I think the people that focus on that are lazy asses, okay? People that focus on motivation are simply lazy people who don't want to do the work, the real work that it takes to develop people. And developing people is how, you know, Jan, my wife, it's almost 8 years ago now, she contracted breast cancer, okay? So we've been dealing with that for the last almost 8 years now. And one of the reasons I stopped doing meetings and doing all stuff is because I didn't want to, you know, miss, if something happened, I didn't want to miss any of that anymore. I didn't want to miss time with her. I didn't want to miss time with my family. And I've been financially independent for a long time. I don't need to work for money. I don't need Primerica income even anymore, okay? So I wanted to spend more time with my family. And because I built the kind of business I built where people know what the hell they're doing, right?
Right.
I've been able to really cut back dramatically, invest all kinds of time with my family, right? And with my wife, and still my business was up 20% last month. Okay? That's not an accident, by the way,
Right.
okay? You can't do that unless you have a bunch of highly trained, skilled people. You can't have a great business without a bunch of highly skilled, trained people. You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible to have a great company without people that are competent in knowing what they're doing. That's why I focus on that all the time. Does everybody listen? No. But you don't need. You just need the motivated to listen. Okay? That's all. You could take, you know, if you have a base shop right now and you have 10 pretty motivated people and they know, and they're good, right? If you had 10 guys as good as you right now, each one of them could turn into 5, 10, 15 grand, like
That's right.
fast.
Yep. Yep.
Fast. Doesn't take a long time. But they can't be like 50% as good as you. It's got to be closer to 80% as good as you, right? It's got to be much higher, very close to you, right? And always working with them to get them better, right? Always working with those. What happens to a lot of people, a mistake that RVPs make or leaders make, is they have somebody that's doing something that, you know, they're recruiting people, they got a little team going, they got people coming to the meetings, they're closing, you know, 3 or 4, 5, 10 sales a month, and they go, I don't need to spend time with them because they know what they're doing. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. They know enough to do that, but how do you get them from 10 sales a month to 20 or 30?
Right.
You got to keep working with them. You got to keep making sure they're doing everything right, and they're thinking right, and their presentation's right, and the way they deal with their guys is right? All that stuff. You have to really, in fact, you should be spending 80% of your time with that 20%, not 80% with the 80. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
You actually need to spend more time with the committed, motivated, the ones that are getting results than the other people.
That's right.
You see them, and if you see the other ones sticking their heads up and starting to do it, then you pay attention to them.
Right.
I never paid a lot of attention to people that weren't engaged because there's no point, right? People that aren't really engaged, I've never paid a lot of attention to those people because by their disengagement, they're telling them they're not really motivated, and if they're not really motivated, there's nothing to do for them anyways. I'm not good enough to help somebody that's not motivated. I have no ability to do that, neither do you, right? But I do with somebody that is motivated. When they're motivated, man, I'm all over them like white on rice, right? I mean, I'm like in their face, talking to them, calling them, you know, really getting them going, right? Because if I have Rick doing 10 grand a month right now, I know he could do 100 if I keep working with him. So I'm going to push him, make sure he's doing everything right, make sure he's training his guys right, make sure he's doing everything right, and keep staying on top of him, because I know if he's doing 10, he can do 20. If he can do 20, he can do 40. Why not? Why can't he? So I pay more attention to those people. Okay? So for example, you know, when I started working with Chris Howard was in another hierarchy, okay, before Primerica. His upline left. This was 1991 when I started working with Chris Howard. Chris Howard in 1991 made like $90-some thousand, and his hierarchy was doing like 20 grand. The next year, right, he made, all I did, okay, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I would fly to Vegas, and I would stay there, go Wednesday morning, and I'd do a meeting like this, training meeting, okay? But it was more actually like how to go through policies, how to close, overcome objections, more fundamental than I'm talking about right now. So I would do that. I'd get there on Wednesday. I would do training all morning, right? Then we'd go to lunch, and then maybe he would want me to meet with some people he was trying to recruit or something. I'd go do that, and then we'd do another training late afternoon, and I would just be training, just all fundamentals, how to do it, okay? Did that on Wednesday, Thursday, and then I would leave Friday morning or whatever. So I basically be there 2.5 days, just doing that. And in the next year, right, the very next year, his income went from 90 to 286,000. Okay, his base shop he had some RVPs already at that time. It was only doing about 20 grand. So his base shop he started doing like 50. You know, 4 or 5 years later, he was making $1 million a year, and he was doing like 500,000 a month, then 700,000 a month. And when we started, he was doing 20. Okay, so I mean because a lot of you aren't in my hierarchy, right? So those of you who are not in my hierarchy, what I'm talking to you about, right? You need to do this. And those of you that admire, you really need to do this. It's critical that you do this, right? I'm only if you really want to make. Because don't you want to make a lot more money? Yes. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make a lot more money, right? I'm telling you, making a lot of money is awesome. Okay? It is. It's just awesome. I mean, it just frees you up like you. I basically am on vacation about 10 months out of the year right now. I mean, I live like exactly like I'm on vacation, at minimum of 10 months out of the year. Okay, literally. Is anybody up for that? Well, there's no shortcuts to that. Okay, there's no shortcuts. I've been looking for a shorter way to get there. I wish there were one, but there aren't any. That's why so few people do it. There's no shortcuts. No shortcuts to getting really fit. There's no shortcuts to getting really smart. There's no shortcuts. Right? You got to put in the effort, the time, and be focused and know exactly what you want. All right, number 4, your goals are too ambiguous. You know, I guess I might have to use this to write some stuff down here.
Oh, we get that on?
Yeah. Yeah, your goals are too, most people, if I were to ask you, what are your goals with Primerica? You should be able to tell me in 2 or 3 minutes exactly what you're trying to do with your Primerica business and how you want it to relate to your life and what you're trying to accomplish. If you can't do that, there's too much ambiguity in what you're trying to do. And when you have ambiguity, you know what ambiguity is like? When you're ambiguous like that, not knowing exactly what you want, it's like, see these lights here? These lights are, the light that a fluorescent bulb puts off is very dispersed, right? Mm-hmm. All right? So this light is a lot more focused, right? Yeah. And then from that, you could have a laser. You know what a laser, right? A laser is like very focused beam of light, right? That even now they've gotten to the point where they're weaponized. They're so powerful that they could destroy things, right? Okay. So you're right now you're like somewhere between there and here, most of you. Okay. So in other words, your thought, your energy, your focus is like so dispersed, it's impossible to create anything of any substantial substance. Okay, you can't do it when you're not focused. The only people that create something great are people that get hyper focused on what it is they're trying to do. You have to get hyper focused. Okay. And so now Jan was saying that first, for the first 10 years I was in Primerica, I was like so focused it bordered on being ridiculous. I was definitely obsessive compulsive, Chuck, during that time period. You can't go from 0 to 855 in 60 months unless you're hyper focused. It's just not possible. Because you can't create the kind of synergy and energy and excitement and all that when the leader's not hyper-focused, neither are the people. When the leader's hyper-focused, then the people get hyper-focused, right? And plus, the bottom line in life, like attracts like. You attract what you are. So if you're attracting people that aren't so good, you aren't so good, okay? Because like attracts like. It's just the way it is, right? So you have to learn how to get more focused, okay? Too ambiguous. So the fifth thing is your time management is poor or sporadic. In other words, you don't manage your time very well. Most people are very, very poor time managers. And what the reason it is because you don't really understand how important and valuable time is. Time, you know, if you lose money, you can always replace the money, right? So if you made a bad investment and you lost $10,000, you can go make another $10,000 and replace that over time, right? I mean, you know, I've made poor investments that didn't work out, but it's not a problem. I could make more money, right? But what we can't make is more time, right? You can't go back in time. The time, once the time is spent, it's gone forever and ever, and you can never recoup it. And plus, the other thing about time that's so important, as we age, right? I'm 57 years old now, right? When I started, I was 27 years old, 26 years old actually, so I'm 31 years involved in this business, okay? So when I started, my energy level was like freaking through the roof. I could go and go and go and go and go and go, and I wouldn't even, I mean, I would wear people out like you can't believe. I had no problem. I can't do that today. Okay, I'm pretty fit still, I'm in good shape, but my energy is not the same as when I was 27, 28, 29. You agree with that, Don?
I agree.
Okay. So it's just not. That's part of reality. Okay, so when you waste time, when you don't invest the time that you have now wisely, over time you're not going to have the same level of energy. So I always thought, I want to get that done right now, because I know 10 years, 20 years, I'm not going to have the same energy level. I want to get it done now and get it over with so that I have enough cash flow and money saved and no debt and all that, so that if I want to cool it, or like I didn't know what was going to happen to Jan. I didn't know that was going to happen, but thank God I did that work up front, because when it happened, I can rearrange my schedule and do my thing the way I want to. I don't have to, I can, instead of, imagine if I had a job right now and that she was going through and I had to be gone, you know, 50 hours a week and all that, and plus I couldn't afford the kind of care that you've been able to do and all, because I had a stupid job that only paid me, you know, whatever, 50, 100 grand a year, and it would be terrible, right? Instead, I have the time, we can spend time together, she gets the best possible care, you know, and I don't have to worry about that at all, right? So that's why it's so important to manage your time. This is, you know, I did a call just recently on time management. You can go on my website, you can order, it's 99 cents on time management. And what I always did with my time is before I went to bed, this is, if you just did this, okay, it would change your life. I never went to bed at night without having my entire next day planned out hour by hour. Never. I never went to bed without having every hour determining exactly what I was going to do, hour by hour, all the way to midnight. I knew exactly what I was going to do from 8 a.m. to midnight every day, had it planned out. You may think, see, that's part of the success also, Chuck. Okay? But what happens when you start managing your time like that, and you start determining what's very important, what will move you towards your goals and dreams, and what won't, and you eliminate what won't, and you just focus on what do, you start having incredible gains, right? You start really moving in the right direction. And you don't allow people to waste your time and get you off track and doing stuff that has nothing to do with what you're trying to accomplish with your business life and getting financially independent and debt-free. And that's what I did for a long time. If I wouldn't do anything for years, if it didn't have to do with growing my business, there's no way you could get me to do it. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. Because I was so focused on getting my business to a certain point and getting financially independent and getting debt-free that was the only thing that mattered. Later on, I mean, now I'm not like that now. Honestly, today I still manage my schedule very well, but I play golf and I, go to the movies 4 or 5 times a week. I, go out to dinner every night. I mean, I do a lot of stuff that I didn't do back then, but now I do, okay? So I was very, very focused. And on your way to getting there, you have to treat the most precious commodity, which is time, with reverence, okay? It's really important. Okay, then the next one, 6, is you're just not that motivated. There's nothing I can do for you if you're not motivated. If you're not motivated, then you're not motivated. And Primerica really isn't for you, probably. Okay, if you're one of those people that I just want to be comfortable. Probably not the best place for you. Okay, and that's not. And by the way, that's not a judgment statement. It's just a statement of fact. It's because Primerica, to do well, Primerica, you got to be focused. You do. And if you're not going to do very well. It's that simple. All right. You don't have to be that smart or a genius, right? There's a lot of people making lots of money in Primerica that if you really knew them, you would be very surprised, okay? Number 7, you're too lazy. I don't know, what's the other one? Too lazy, then you're too lazy. I don't know what to do. I don't know about lazy. Lazy to me is, not so, it's a way of thinking. Being lazy is a thought, a way of thinking. Okay, the way you see the world, the way you see things, right? And you know, laziness goes along with not being motivated, right? So those are 2 things that not a lot we can do for you there. Or you don't prospect enough. Most of you don't prospect anywhere close to as much as you should be. I was just talking to Jose's month was a little bit off, and I said, you know, your pipeline's probably not full, right?
No.
You know, one of the things that I always did is I always made sure I had a big pipeline. In other words, what the pipeline is, I always had a list. My goal was, on the yellow legal pad, was to now, and now you can do it on your iPad or even on your phone, right? But my goal was always to have 100 people, prospects on my list that I could be contacting, following up with. Because even people that you meet and you start prospecting initially, you don't recruit them right away, or they're not, you know, timing's not right. So you keep them on the list, though, right? Excuse me. You keep them on the list. But I always wanted to have 100 so that I could, right away I could go boom with 100 people. I could phone call, I could stop by, I could see, and then I want to be adding to the list because some drop off and then you got to be adding. I always wanted to have at least 100. That was always my goal. 100 people on that list that I could contact. I could turn 100, out of 100, if I get 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 of them to do something, I can turn a so-so month into a decent month, right? So if I had that number, then I always had something to do. Always somebody to see, somebody to stop by, somebody to call, or even somebody to call and get a referral from. You know, a lot of times I'd call inside, Kurt was on my list, and he's, you know, right now just not ready. Whatever, something, it's just not the right time. But we developed a little bit of a relationship. He likes me. Results that he's experienced, and I'd call him and say, Kurt, you know, listen, things are really going great right now. I really need to find 2 or 3 really sharp people. I mean, I know right now the timing's not good for you. Do you know a couple, 2 or 3 guys that or gals that you know would want to like maybe make $100,000 a year or more, or want to improve their situation, or maybe they're a little fed up with their current job that doesn't have the kind of potential that they really want? Do you have anybody that you could think of just off the top here? 1, 2, 3 people, anybody?
Yeah, I got a couple. Brian, Juan,
Okay.
Jason.
Okay, great. Would you mind just give me their contact information, and then I'll, you know, I'm going to call them. And this is what I'm going to say, though, when I call them, right? So I don't want you to feel uncomfortable about me calling them. I'm not going to harass them. I'm not going to embarrass you in any way. I'll call them and say it's Rick, okay? So I'll call Rick. I'll say, hey, Rick, this is Hector Marque. We have a mutual friend, and Kurt and Donna Joyner. You know Kurt and Donna, right? Okay. The reason I'm calling is Kurt was telling me that you're really a highly motivated guy, and that there was an opportunity for you to considerably increase your income, make more money, or save more money, or just improve your financial situation in any way, that you would be the kind of person that would be open to exploring that. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, well, can we sit down for a few minutes? I can share with you what I'm doing, what I did for Kurt and Don, and how that went. And then if you have any questions, then I'll have Kurt call you, okay? All right, great. Then I said, that's how I do it, just like that. So I'd call old clients and stuff, and I just ask for a referral, and then I'd call them. How hard was that? How long did that take? Like no time, right? But you know what? You actually have to do it, okay? You do it, right? So you do it, then that's what I would do, stuff like that. Just call them, make things happen, right? Because what? I'm always prospecting, I'm always looking for people to set up appointments. That's all, because I know if I can get in front of Rick, right? And I know Rick because I talked to Kurt. You know, he's got his wife's Bridget. He works at a Chevrolet dealership. He makes decent income right now. And did you have a business at that time? Were you working? Yeah, you had your own tanning salon. They're entrepreneurs. I know that already. They have a couple of girls. You know, they're the perfect age. They're, you know, if I can get in front of them and I can get them to see what we're doing and what the potential is, right? I know that I can, over time, close them on getting involved. I know for minimum I'm going to make them a client. Right? I know that. So I got to get there, right? So I got to get in an appointment. So that's what I used to do all the time, over and over and over. Because they don't call you when you're at home in your Barca Lounger, right? People don't call you. You got to go get them, right? You got to be, you know, you got to be your own best friend. All right. And then don't prosper or don't follow up. A lot of people, you don't follow up enough. You gotta follow up. You gotta follow up with people. Now you got a really good guy. Like let's say I go meet with with Rick and Bridget, right? So I meet with them, and we end up making them a client. But for whatever reason, I can't get them to go forward in the business right now. But I know because of who they are. He's got a really demanding job. I know he's making 100K. She's got her own business. I know these people, if I could ever get them involved, they would be awesome. I know it, because they're just like the perfect profile. Are you with me?
Yes.
So then what I would do with, let's say I can't get them, so I would say, hey listen, Rick and Bridget, I know right now timing may not be perfect for you getting involved in Primerica, but I know beyond a shadow of doubt, if you did get involved, you guys would do unbelievable. Do you see the way I did that?
Yes.
You guys would do unbelievable. And I would do it just like that. Okay, you may think, oh, that's kind of goofy. No, it's not. Right? Does that say anything?
Yeah.
Does that elicit a feeling? You guys would be unbelievable. Would you mind if I followed up with you and kept you posted on what was going on and how I was progressing and all the kind of different things, opportunities that are presenting themselves? Would you guys be okay with that? And I want you to know, every time I call you, I don't want you to feel put out or like I'm harassing you. I want you to know the reason that I'm doing that is because I just see gigantic potential in you guys, and then if you ever saw your way clear getting involved, you'd be amazing at this, okay? So every time I call you, I want you to think, Hector thinks I'm a stud, all right? That's because that's what I think, all right? I just want you to feel that way so you don't feel put out. And that's that's how I would set up the follow-up. Just like that. You with me?
Yes.
I'd set up that so when I call him and go, oh, Hector's calling me again. I want him to be thinking, oh, Hector's calling me again. I'm just be thinking I'm great, right? Because I do. I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean that, okay?
Right.
I would never say that to somebody that wasn't who they are. I just wouldn't do it. But if they are, you got to tell them. You got to let them know why you're going to follow up and why you think they're great and why you think they would do great. Right? Everything about them screams success in Primerica. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Right? Then obviously it's true in their case because they end up doing great, right? So follow-up. I followed up with Rick Susie for 18 months. Okay? I called him or went by and saw him and followed up for 18 straight months. He told me, no, I've got a good job. Right? He had a good job. He was a supervisor making $70,000 a year. This was like in 1985, 1986. So he was like making 150 today, right? So he did have what is quote a good job, right? Working for idiots, but still a good job. And so I followed up and followed up and followed up and followed up, and then finally, right? Timing's everything. That's why follow-up's so important, because timing changes, things change in people's lives. All of a sudden, he has a baby, right? His son Eric, and he was supposed to get a bonus, a certain amount in his bonus, and it was way less than it was supposed to be, and he complained to the owner, to Skip Robbins, who was one of the owners at that time. He complained to Skip, and Skip said, basically said to Rick, you're lucky you have a job. And Rick's a worker, you know that, right? He's not lazy, right? Rick's a worker. And so, and productive too. And so he's got, so if you know Rick, he was, I can't say it in mixed company, personal development program. You need to start, look, every one of us when we get started have weaknesses. I had a big procrastination time management problem. That was my weakness when I got involved in Primerica. And so what I did on the time management, I took a Franklin Planner course. I started studying, how to manage my time, and I started, prioritizing everything, and I learned how to manage my time. That was the one thing the other did. And then the procrastination thing was just I read stuff on procrastination and do it now, and that developed a do it now mentality. Because if you don't do it now, it gets away from you, right? You know how you think, I got to do this, and then you don't do it now, and then you forget. This morning, right? Before we left, I dropped Jan at her mom's house, but we always take water. We both, had one of these waters, right? So I told Jan had it out, and I got mine. I put it in my bag so I wouldn't forget. And then she did not put it in her bag. It was sitting on the counter, and she didn't put it in her bag. She forgot. She didn't do it now, right? And then she forgot it, so she doesn't have her water. I mean, that's not a big thing, but that's a perfect example of when you think about doing something, you need to do it right now,
Yes.
not put it off.
Yeah.
Or at a minimum, it needs to be in your calendar, so you do it when you look at your calendar, you know you're going to do it then, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you gotta have a do-it-now mentality, because without a do-it-now mentality, time just like gets away, right? Things
Yes.
happen, and there's so many things pulling at you, right? I mean, your jobs, your children, your spouses, your whatever, your parents, your in-laws. I mean, there's a million different things that want to pull our attention away, right? And so you need to be in control of your time, because if you're not, somebody else will be in control of your time. And if somebody else is, they don't have the same motivation for you to succeed as you do, okay? So be very, very, very careful about your time. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about what's happening in, I mean, right now, honestly, you should be recruiting like armies.
Yeah.
All I know, if I was prospecting, building a base shop, Ryan, really doing that, I'd be recruiting people frickin' left and right. I don't even know how you couldn't do it right now with what's going on and there's no upward mobility in virtually any company right now, right? Every company in America over the last 6 years is trying to figure out how to do more with less people. You know, you notice how you know this more better than anyone, you guys who are investment guys, right? The market's crazy, isn't it? It's doing great, right? And you know why? Is because all these companies are doing way more with less people, so their costs are down. It's not so much that they're actually doing that much more business, they're just more profitable now. They're way more profitable. Companies are doing great, okay? The ones that were smart and were able to react to the market and all that sort of thing. So but for the average person, you know this because you're going out and you're sitting with people are broke, right?
Yes.
Essentially, almost everybody's broke.
Yep.
To me, broke is if you lost your job tomorrow, you had no income, right? Most people would be on the verge of bankruptcy after about 90 days. After 6 months, they'd lose their cars, they'd lose their house, their house would get into foreclosure. Why? Because they have no money, they don't have an emergency account, right? So if you don't have enough money to sustain you for a year or more, even you right now, you're broke. Okay? So if you might not like hearing that, but let me just tell you, if you don't have enough money saved that could support your life that you have right now for at least a year, you're broke. You just don't know it, or you don't want to admit it, but you're broke.
Yes.
That's harsh, huh? But it's true.
Yes.
But it's true, okay? So what do you do then? Then you gotta figure out a way, how do you save money so that you have enough money if you did lose a job, or both of you and your spouse lost a job, what would you do? What's your backup plan? I think Primerica, one of the ways I used to recruit people, I'd say, Don, what's your backup plan if your job goes away, or you get laid off, or you're like one of the 18,000 Microsoft employees that just are getting terminated or laid off right now? What's your backup plan for that? Yeah, that's pretty much what you're gonna hear. They have no backup plan. So I'd say, okay, so you don't have a backup. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Feel secure? No, okay. That's scary, isn't it? All right. So why would you not consider getting involved with me, allowing me to help teach you the business, get your license, and put yourself in a position where you could replace your income if that happened? I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to leave. I'm just saying, take a look at Primerica, have it be your backup plan. It's kind of like your car, right? Do you have a spare tire in your car?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
You get a flat.
Yeah, in case you get a flat. Do you plan on getting a flat? No, but it could happen, couldn't it? Okay, same thing with your job. It could happen. So that's the reason you should have a backup plan. I mean, and plus, you get all your license, I'll teach you how to invest your own money, I'll teach you how to make some money, you know a bunch of people, you could help them, right? Look what I've done for you tonight. We put this plan together, you're gonna be out of debt, 8 years, you're gonna do this, all this, and I would point out all the things I'm doing for you. Don't you think everybody deserves to have some plan like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you just go share it with them. If they like it, great. If they don't, great, right? No pressure, nothing, you don't have to, sweat that, okay? And plus, whoever you go see, I guarantee you, I would never do anything to embarrass you. It's gonna be strictly positive. Everything we're gonna do is gonna be, they're gonna love it, or we're not gonna do it, okay? So I don't want you to feel apprehensive about going to see people that you care about, that you're close to, that you love, and that you admire, okay? And that's how I would do it, just like that. That seem complicated? Does that seem like pressure?
No.
No, there's no pressure. Just talking, right? I have not been on an appointment since 1992. Okay? That's what happens when you know what you're doing. You see? It's like riding a bike. Do you think if I got in the field I could close some people? It'd be like shooting ducks in a barrel, okay? It's because once you know how to do it, it's not difficult. It's just the fact you've got to do it. The problem for a lot of you, you know how to, but you don't do it. You do it so infrequently. You gotta do it often. And then the most important part, you gotta teach people. You wanna grow, if you're ever gonna be free, there's two ways to get free in Primerica. All right? You could do it yourself, making, doing transactions, right? If you want to, and make decent income. Well, we've got people that are making 100, 150, 200,000 a year, and they don't really have a business. They just they do transactions, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? That's one way, but you better pay your house off, you better pay your cars off, and you better be saving money if you ever have any goal of being free, okay? Or you could build an organization, like I have, and train a bunch of people, and have a bunch of massive passive cash flow coming in. Right? Because I haven't seen clients. Look, folks, I don't know. I was telling somebody, you know, my securities income right now is, it's like probably this is going to be between $600,000 and $700,000 in securities income. That's what I'm going to make this year. I have not written a securities sale since 1992. Okay. All right. That's pretty good. My trailer months are like $70,000, $80,000 now. That's what I'm making on trailer months. So every third month, right? Every third month I'm getting like $70,000, $80,000 on securities. And I haven't written a security sale in, what is that, 22 years. Okay? Why, Chuck? Because I trained people and I built an organization. Okay? That's why. Because I did what I'm telling you to do. I actually did it, right? So there's tons of people out there that are waiting for somebody like you. They don't know Primerica exists. They don't know all the features and benefits of Primerica. They don't know what we have to offer. They don't know how awesome our company is. Look at the stock.
Yeah.
Stock. You have a little stock, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How's that done?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's good. Keep doing that, right? You're gonna that's gonna be a big number at some point, right? I don't know what's your number right now. Do you know how much you have total? 200,000, right? So that's gonna every year you get more, right? So then 10 years from now that could be $1 million.
Chuck's
How much? What are you getting, Chuck?
about
400,000. So that 400 is gonna go to 800, to $1 million, 2 million. It's awesome. Plus, you got trailers, right? You guys got trailers.
Yep.
Trailers are good, man.
Trailers are awesome.
You guys know that on the security, most of you don't have a securities license. You're stupid not to have a securities license.
That's right.
You really are. I'm sorry. I mean, you said I was blunt, right? You're double dumb, okay? I'll tell you why, because those trailers are, this is what you need to know about securities and why you need to know how to do it and get good at it and know how the product works, because on the securities part, folks, all the money you have under management, every year, the investment companies pay you a trailer. Actually, not every year, every quarter they pay you a trailer, okay? So, like, what are your trailers now, Cross?
About $8,000
A month,
every quarter.
every quarter. Okay, so that's 32,000, right? So it's 32,000 every year, just on trailer. That doesn't include what you make, that's just the trailer part of it, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's gonna grow, right?
It has.
It has grown a lot, probably.
It has.
Yeah, so that's gonna go to 32, to 40, to 50, to whatever, right? But at some point, it's gonna be, who knows, be 100,
Every
150.
year it doubles.
Every 8 years it doubles, right? And it grows
If you
faster
go-
if you add to it, right? If you're adding to it, then it can grow a lot faster. But that's right now. So if you added Social Security to that, they could retire, right? But that's pretty awesome, right?
Yes.
That's just money just comes in, boom, like every quarter.
That's not even counting PACs. But
Yeah, because that's like That's, PAC is just like, do you know what your PAC cash flow is?
It's about 50 to 52 grand a year between trails and PAC.
Okay, so $50,000 a year, let's say. Trails are what they pay you on the assets you enter after match. It means you pay you like 1/4, 1% or whatever the number is, okay? You get that, every year. But the other thing is that every time you set up an account where you get clients investing $200, $300, $500 a month into their PCs, you get paid every month on that.
Yes.
Every month. So as that grows, your income grows every month. So it goes from, you have 1,000 coming in, then 10, then 20, then 50, then 100,000 a month, then 200,000 a month, then 300,000 a month, and all of a sudden, right, I'm getting paid on all your PACs every month. So all the PACs you do, I get paid. And I don't get paid what they get paid, but I get paid something, right? I want you to get a securities license. But you should want to get one because it's good for you too. Not to mention it's good for your clients, right? You could do the whole package. There's a lot of money in it, okay? A lot of money in it. Okay. So what's happening with our economy, the job market, all that, you should be prospecting a lot more. Just talking to people. How you prospect, see, this is the thing that's silly. You're talking to people, you're meeting people all the time, right? Aren't you meeting people all the time? You're running into people, you're doing business with people, you just meet people. I mean, I meet people all the time. Just ask the question. All you have to do is ask the question. You'd ask a couple of questions. You could say, hey Kurt, are you set at your job right now? Do you plan on doing that till the day you die? I mean, is this all you're ever going to do till you die?
No.
So are you open to looking at something else? If there's a potential to increase your income dramatically and be your own boss and manage your own time, but are you the kind of individual that would be open to exploring an opportunity like that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hey, listen, your phone number, email?
Yeah.
Maybe we can set up a time we can meet for maybe 15, 20 minutes over a cup of coffee. I want to show you what I'm doing, where our company's headed, the kind of growth we've had, the excitement that we have within our company. I'd like to do that.
Sure.
Boom, that's it. I'm not gonna, if you ask me what it is, I'll say, listen, it's like trying to give you a haircut over the phone. I'm not gonna be able to do that, right? You can't do that in 2 minutes. Really need to sit down and take a look at it. Look, no pressure. If you see something you like, great. If you don't, no problem. Okay? That's how I always would say, yeah, if you see something you like, great. If you don't, no problem. I never felt like, I don't want him to feel like I need him to do it or there's pressure or anything like that. Look, but I want to sit down with him. Because when I sit down with him and I show him my presentation, I show him what we do and all the things we have available and how it helps people and all that stuff, I'm going to close him if he's the right kind of person, right?
Yes.
So it just depends. But all I want now is I want a name, number, and a phone number. I'm going to follow up. Then I'm going to follow up, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up. Or every time you meet somebody, just ask them, I used to ask that question. Are you planning on retiring and this is what you're going to do till the day you die? I said just like that, till the day you die, because they're thinking, shoot, I don't want to be doing this. Most people, most people have jobs, not because that's not what they really selected, it's kind of like what they fell into. Okay? There aren't that many people that have jobs that they went to school, they decided to become an engineer or an attorney or whatever, where they're really directed on having it. Most people's jobs are jobs that they just kind of fell into, that happened. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If you think about your own personal situation, probably if you have a job, you didn't grow up the time you were like 10 years old and go, I want to be doing this.
Right.
Even when I went to school, I have a degree in psychology. I was going to be a clinical psychologist. That's what I wanted to do, right? And then I got married, and then I found out that in order to make any money, you have to have a PhD, which would have meant I had to get a master's and a PhD, another like 5, 6, 7 years of school, and a bunch of money, and even then, they don't make any money, okay? I figured it out, right? And I go, I got to do something else. And then I answered an ad for a jewelry sales position because I just needed a job. I just graduated from college, I had a tiny baby, and we were broke. I needed a job, and I got in the jewelry business. And then I went from, the first company was Gordon Jewelers, then I went to Robbins Brothers, and I did really well there. And then I found Primerica, right? Later. And even that was just kind of happened. Like for you, I wasn't planning on doing Primerica. How many of you were like, I'm going to do Primerica when I grow up? Maybe your kids. Even my kids didn't want to do Primerica, right? So, it kind of just happens. So people aren't like married to most people are not like committed married to their current situation. If they could see a better way a way that they believe they could actually do it, right? If you could explain it in such a way to say, this is a no-brainer, people need this, they want it, what we do is fantastic. There's not another company in America that's doing what we're, by the way, there's not another company in America that's doing what we're doing with the F&A and all the things that we have to offer, the features and benefits of showing people how to get out of debt, how to insure their family, how to invest for their future, how to, auto and home. There's no other company doing a very comprehensive, fairly sophisticated financial plan
Right.
for the middle market that's complementary, right? Who's doing that?
Nobody.
Nobody. Nobody's doing what, the business you're in, nobody's doing it but you. When you really understand that and you understand how it works and why it's great and what it does for people, then you can start being really aggressive at talking to people about it. Whether they get involved or not, whether they become a client, it's irrelevant. Start talking. What you're looking for, this is the way I always thought of it. I was looking for people that were looking for me. I wasn't looking to try to convince people into doing, I never try to convince people into doing Primerica. I never try to convince them. I was looking for people that were looking for me. In other words, they were looking to do something. They were motivated. They're motivated to do more, right? That's what I was looking for, right? And I didn't care what they were doing. Cross, when he got started, he was an electrician, right? That's what he was doing. He wasn't thinking, I'm gonna be a financial service guy and sell mutual funds and, yeah, you're a professional investment guy. You are, you just are, okay? But you never thought about that in a million years, right? You fell into it and you found he's really good at it, right? So you're just looking for people that are looking for you, right? And you need to be that motivated person to attract the motivated people, okay? If you're not the motivated person, you're not gonna attract motivated people, right? I attract a lot of motivated people because I'm highly motivated. I always wanted to be somebody. Art talked about that. I just did. I don't know why. He said, I don't know why I am like I am, but my butt's always burning, right? That's me, man. When he said I could, shoot, that's me. I don't know why I am like, but I just want to do more, be more. I want to have a bigger life, better life. I want more things happening. I want to have more options. I want more, right? I just want to, life's too short. Look, when I got started, right, Dak, you saw my son Dak in the video, right? Dak was 5. He's 35 right now. He's going to be 36 in next month. October 7th. He'll be 36 years old. He was 5 when I got in. I went like, boom, like that. Even you remember when he was a kid, right? I know, it went like that. The little granddaughter Frankie, she's 6 now, man. She's like 4 feet 3 inches tall, and she's big. Look, no other company doing what we do, the way we do it, with a focus on middle America, helping them formulate a financial plan with our financial, nobody's doing that. You need to really understand that and understand how powerful that is and what an incredible tool that is. Look, one of the things that Robert Anthony taught me, he says, money flows to those people who solve other people's most pressing problems. What's more pressing than being out of debt or being able to retire and have enough money in savings for retirement, right? Like right now, what's happening all over the country right now? In California is one of the worst. Is it, all these retirement plans that state employees have, what's it called, PERS or whatever?
Yeah.
They're broke.
Yeah.
They don't have enough money to fund those. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's gonna be a freaking disaster for any state employee, any county employee, any city employee, any government, federal government maybe not, but all those, they don't have the money to pay these people when they retire. They don't have it now, and they're not ever gonna have it. They're just trying to push it off right now. That's all they're doing. It's scary. So if you don't take care of your own retirement, you're an idiot. See, you should be telling your clients that. You need to take care of your own retirement. You cannot leave that up to even your employer. That's crazy to depend. How many businesses, like Microsoft seems like a really good company to work for, right? Except they're letting go 18,000 people right now. 18,000. They're not like going out of business, but they're why? They're trying to cut their overhead so they become more profitable for the shareholders. Okay? I'm not here right now. Okay. So the bottom line is this, folks. We have the answer to what ails the vast majority of middle American families. We have the you have the answer. Once you learn how to do the business, you learn how this works. You have the answer. So, you know, you're driving on the freeway. I drove in on the freeway this morning, and you know, look, 9 out of 10 people, they don't want to be doing that drive.
Right.
It's just like too much, right? The amount of time they're spending on the road every day. I mean, I don't know, some of you could be spending 2 hours, 3 hours a day on the road going to and from work. I mean, that's a nightmare, right? The other thing you need to really think about, and I don't know that people really think about that, is debt elimination is the #1 factor preventing people from retiring financially independent. Debt is the problem. Debt. You got to have a plan to get out of debt. Let me just tell you one of the most, even if you don't ever build a big business in Primerica, and I know most of you probably won't for whatever reason, but if you don't do it, at a minimum, I would recommend that one of the best things I've ever done in my life, from a happiness standpoint, from a secure, is there something to erase this with, or how do you erase this?
Yeah, you just use that pen and then you can just use the paper and it'll just wipe right off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just,
What paper? No, honestly.
oh, that paper.
Yeah, that wasn't correct.
It worked, though. Look, I tell you, this to me, in my life, being debt-free and having enough money invested that I don't have to work anymore it's the most liberating thing ever. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you to have a plan right now to get rid of all your debt and start saving money. I mean, on your way to getting there, I know it takes a lot of discipline to do that. I understand that because, you know, all these new shiny things are happening, all these beautiful big screen TVs, there's the new iPhone coming, there's always something that you can spend money on, right?
Yeah.
But being debt-free and having enough money invested that you don't need to work is like, it's hard to explain how good it is, how awesome that is. To know that every day you get up, you just do what you want to do, right? That's why I say living on big, I feel like 10 months out of the year, probably it's even more than that. Because I get up every day and I basically just do what I feel like doing that day. Our day revolves around where are we going to eat and what movie are we going to see? Or if we're going to see the grandkids, are they going to come over and go swimming, or what are we going to do? I mean, that's really pretty much for the most part. You know, there's stuff I have to do. I still do some work and stuff like that, but not that much, okay? And it's a revolt, but that's because I know I don't have any debt. I have 3 homes, and they're paid off. I don't have any debt at all. And, you know, I'm making still a lot of money from Primerica and a lot of money from money I've invested over the years. So it's really being free. Yeah. You know, I have some friends, I have a young friend that's a really sharp kid that I play golf with. He's a really good golfer and he's really motivated. And I kind of mentoring him. And he's 35, I think. And he's like Dak's age, but he's financially independent already. And he's done an amazing job, and you know, he has a business now. He's buying real estate and, you know, like investment real estate and stuff like that. It's really exciting to see a young guy like that. He's got 2 little baby boys. He's financially independent. He works. He has a consulting business, and then he takes money that he makes from company and buys real estate. And he's been doing. I've been doing this with him for about 5 years now, and he's like in amazing shape, you know, but he doesn't have any debt. He has a really nice home, paid off, everything's paid off, and he's doing great. And the level of freedom you start having in your life is just incredible, right? Where you do what you want. Don't you want to get there someday?
Yes.
Okay, debt-free, invest money so you get financially independent. And you should be doing both at the same time. So you should have a plan to be eradicating your debt, start chipping away at it, whatever that happens to be. Maybe in the beginning you can only chip away 25, 50, 100 bucks, or whatever the number is, but have a plan to chip away at all the debt, get rid of the debt, no debt, no debt, no debt, no debt, okay? No debt. Get rid of the debt. Debt is your enemy. It's not your friend. That's why everybody's stressed out. They have too much debt. That's why they don't save money. When you go see people in their home, you do an F&A, what's the problem? They have 2 car payments, they're spending, what, $4, $5, $6, $8,000 a month on car payments, they got a mortgage, which is whatever, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a month on a mortgage, they got a big, they got credit card balances, right, and they're spending, $300, $400, $500 on credit cards, all these things, they're all debt, right? Imagine if you get rid of the debt. So one of the questions I would be asking my clients, right, I'd say, Kurt, if, assume you're a normal person, you're working, you have all those debts like I'm talking about, I said, if you got rid of your car payments, your home mortgage payment, your credit card payments, how much extra a month do you think you'd have? What do you think most people would say to that number?
3,000 to 3,000.
Yeah, probably 3,000, right? Probably 3 to 5K a month.
Yep.
Okay, somewhere in that range. So then if you could get rid of that, then you'd have that money to invest and have fun. Right?
Yep.
Because let's say it's 5K, you put 2,500, you're investing 2,500 a month. What could you do fun-wise on 2,500 a month? Huh?
A lot.
Gee, you can have a blast, right? Better dinners, right? Or maybe you save 2 or 3 months and you go on an awesome Hawaiian vacation,
Yeah.
right? Or you go skiing, or you go, I don't know what you like to do, it doesn't really matter, but when you have extra money like that, and then also what would your stress level be like if you didn't have a mortgage, no car payments, and no credit card payments?
Be amazing.
Yeah, so if I could help you get there in a reasonably short period of time, that's painless to you, where it doesn't cause you a lot of pain, can you think of any reason on this green earth that you wouldn't do that?
No.
Okay, see how easy that is? Huh? That's what I would be telling every client. I'd be telling them that. And then I'd help them put a plan together and do that. That person is going to love you.
That's right.
If I help him get out of debt, he can see that how he's going to be out of debt. Is he going to, hide that information? No. Not only is he not going to hide it, he's going to want to give me referrals, and he's going to very probably get involved in the business with me, especially I show him results. Right? Why wouldn't I be able to get them involved? Of course I'm going to recruit them. See, that's why when you know how to do the business and you just approach it right, this is not hard. You just think it's hard. Why is it hard? Skill level too low, knowledge base too low.
Yep.
Why? The only reason Primerica is hard for anybody. Skill level too low, knowledge level too low, Primerica hard. Is that not true?
Yes.
Yeah. So then if you're a leader, you're building a team, what are you doing? What should you be focused all your energy on? Get people's skill level up?
Yep.
Yeah. Their knowledge level up.
Yep.
Why? Because I want to clone me. I want to reproduce myself over and over and over, because the more people I can get doing what I'm doing, the faster my business grows. But not only that, I'm going to help. If I do that with Kurt, he's going to make money.
Yep.
I mean, like he said earlier when he was introducing me, right? A lot of the stuff he's been able to do, he could never have done that at his
Never.
job. He was making like 30-some thousand a year back then.
That's right.
Now he makes that a month.
Yep.
Why? There's no way he could have done that. Not that good job. I mean, he could have possibly got a better job and maybe making 100K, and he has no freedom, and he's beholden to a boss, and he could lose his job and all this. No, he can't lose his job. He could not work and not make as much money, but that's up to him.
Right.
It's not up to a boss.
Yep.
Okay. Look. Saving, investing in the future, retirement, education, goals, dreams. No company does it as good as we do, folks. Look, what I'm trying to do is just resell you on Primerica here. Because see, a lot of you're not excited about it like you should be excited about it. One of the things for me, I was so excited about talking to people about my business, I couldn't even contain myself. See, most of you are like, yeah, you do it when you get around to it, but you're not excited about doing it.
Right.
You're not portraying this in the way that you're not seeing the awesomeness of it. How great it is for people. Protection, auto, home, life, we make sure think about it when the last time you were in a client's home and they had all those things taken care of. When was that? When was the last time you were in somebody's home and they had all their ducks in a row, everything was taken care of? Like, never.
Yep.
Never. What does that
One
tell
out of
you?
200.
What does that tell you about the opportunity you have when everybody you go see, nobody has it.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing it. And you have the solutions. You can do it for them. You can help them facilitate this thing to help them get there. Nobody else really can, but you can. And by the way, those people that are in that market, the middle market, the financial service industry doesn't want to have anything to do with them.
That's right.
If they don't have probably $350,000 of investable cash, the average, whatever, Dean Witter or what are some of the
Merrill
companies,
Lynch.
Merrill Lynch, all these companies, right? Schwab, they don't even want anything to do with that person. So they're like the red-headed stepchild of the financial service industry. And we are the people that can do that for them.
Right,
You need to feel like excited and proud of that.
that's right.
Because if you don't, they won't. And you need to be sharing this and keep reminding your people about how great it is what we do. Because it is.
Yes.
Because it is. Look, you should be shouting it. I got all kinds of stuff here, but look, I constantly showed clients and new recruits what I was doing myself in terms of savings and investing so they would know I was a product of the product, that I was living what I was proposing. This is one of the things I always did. I always had, back then we used to get the mutual fund statements sent to us. I don't know if they still do that or not. I don't,
Yeah.
Shan takes care of that, but I would carry them with me. My latest statement, I just show, I might have 3 or 4 or 5 different mutual funds, and I'd always carry them with me. And I would say, hey, Steve, you know what? I've been involved in Primerica for 3 years, 5, whatever the period of time is, okay? And then I'd say, look, I've been doing this for this period of time, and then I'd say, let me show you what I've been able to save and invest since I've been in Primerica. Then I'd show them. Be 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, whatever the number was. And then I would say, you've been working at, Union 76 for 5 years, right? 10. Right? So
That's right.
this 400,000 in 10 years is gonna be 800,000, and then, I just show them. And so what happens, in another 15, 20 years, I will never have to work again as long as I live. And that's simply because I made this choice.
Right.
Can you think of any reason why you wouldn't make that same choice?
Wow.
Or you argue with that? Right? So these are the kinds of things that I did. This is how I got people going. And did you notice, what am I doing when I'm doing that? Just asking questions. I'm not telling. Do you notice I don't tell? I just ask.
Yep.
This is a big, big deal here. That's why I listen to that Overcoming Objections CD so many times, because if you listen to that, you'll see that I'm always asking questions. I'm not telling.
Yep.
What the mistake most amateurs make is they're telling. They're giving information instead of asking questions.
Yep.
And asking questions is a key, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So I showed all my agents what I was doing. The other thing I did, I showed all my agents, I was doing what I was asking them to do, and I did this. I recruited, on average, 3 directs and closed 10 or more life sales for about 8 to 10 years in a row, and that allowed me to build a big base through first. Let me give you an idea. I got these numbers. Brendan Merton sent me these numbers from 1995, August 1995, which is basically how many years ago is that? 19 years ago?
Yep.
Right. This is what I did. Through 6th, I did $2,030 of premium and 795 recruits that month. Through 3rd, I did $1,824,000 in premium and 703 recruits. Through 1st, I did $481,499 in premium through 1st. Nobody's doing anything close to that right now. Okay, 141 recruits. And in my base shop, I did 71,025 recruits.
Right.
That was August.
You were part of that.
Yeah, you were in that. I was August 1995.
Yep.
Okay. And so that was all because of the training, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
All that happened because of the training that I've been talking about. So if you want to get big, you have to be the person that you're trying to attract. Okay? you have to be that person that you're trying to attract, because like I said earlier, like attracts like, right? You need to become that person, and then you'll start attracting that person. That kind of person will feel comfortable around you. You'll have the same kind of energy. It's kind of like criminals hang around criminals, right? Drug addicts hang around drug addicts, right? Successful people hang around successful people.
Right.
It's like, you know, single people hang around single people, married people hang around with married people, right? Why? Because like attracts like,
Right.
okay? All right, so you gotta really pay attention to who you're hanging around with, because that is who you are going to become.
Right.
So if you like what you see, good. If you don't, you need to think about that very seriously. Look, I'm gonna take a few questions and then I'm done. Any questions? At all, anything about business, okay?
Grab the mic.
Are we taping this?
Yes.
No, but are you taping it?
Just on here and then there. I don't have a rod.
Oh, shoot. Make more money. That will rob you.
Yes, I do. Here's the mic right here. So just, Mark, who wants to ask questions?
Nobody? Yeah, she has a
I
question back
have a
here.
question.
Yeah.
Who recruited you?
You wanna give, who recruited me? That's the question.
Yeah.
A guy by the name of John Grote. He was, his name was John Grote, and he recruited me, and he got terminated. People's skill level up?
Yep.
Yeah,
Knowledge level
their
up.
knowledge level up.
Yep.
Why? Because I want I want to clone me. I want to reproduce myself over and over and over, because the more people I could get doing what I'm doing, the faster my business grows. But not only that, I'm going to help. If I do that with Kurt, he's going to make money.
Yep.
I mean, like he said earlier when he was introducing me, right? A lot of the stuff he's been able to do, he could never have done that at his
Yeah.
job. He was making like 30-some thousand a year back then.
That's right.
Now he makes that a month.
Yep.
Why? There's no way he could have done it. Not that he job. He might have had he could have possibly got a better job and maybe making 100K, and he has no freedom, and he's you know, beholden to a boss, and he could lose his job and all this. No, he can't lose his job. You know, he could not work and not make as much money, but that's up to him.
Right.
It's not up to a boss.
Yep.
Okay. Look. Saving, investing in the future, retirement, education, goals, dreams. No company does it as good as we do, folks. Look, what I'm going to try to do is just resell you on Primerica here. Because see, a lot of you you're not excited about it like you should be excited about it. One of the things for me, I was so excited about talking to people about my business, I couldn't even contain myself. See, most of you are like, yeah, you do it when you get around to it, but you're not like excited about doing it.
Right.
You're not portraying this in the way that, you're not seeing the awesomeness of it. How great it is for people. Protection, auto, home, life, we make sure we, you know, think about it when the last time you were in a client's home and they had all those things taken care of. When was that? When was the last time you were in somebody's home and they had all their ducks in a row? Everything was taken care of. Never.
Yep.
Never. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about the opportunity you have when everybody you go see, nobody has it.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing it. And you have the solutions. You can do it for them. You can help them facilitate this thing to help them get there. Nobody else really can, but you can. And by the way, those people that are in that market, the middle market, the financial service industry doesn't want to have anything to do with them.
That's right.
If they don't have probably $350,000 of investable cash, the average, you know, whatever, Dean Witter or what are some of the
Merrill
companies,
Lynch.
Merrill Lynch, all these companies, right? Schwab, they don't even want anything to do with that person. So they're like the red-headed stepchild of the financial service industry. And we are the people that can do that for them.
Right.
You need to feel like excited and proud of that.
That's right.
Because if you don't, they won't. And you need to be sharing this and keep reminding your people about how great it is what we do. Because it is.
Yes.
Because it is. Look, you should be shouting it. I got all kinds of stuff here, but look, I constantly showed clients and new recruits what I was doing myself in terms of savings and investing, so they would know I was a product of the product, that I was living what I was proposing. This is one of the things I always did. I always had, back then we used to get the mutual fund statements sent to us. I don't know if they still do that or not. I don't.
Yeah.
Shan takes care of that, but I would carry them with me. My latest statement, I just show, I might have 3 or 4 or 5 different mutual funds, and I'd always carry them with me. And I would say, hey, Steve, you know what? I've been involved in Primerica for 3 years, 5, whatever the period of time is, okay? And then I'd say, look, I've been doing this for this period of time, and then so let me show you what I've been able to save and invest since I've been in Primerica, and then I'd show them. Be 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, whatever the number was. And then I would say, you've been working at, you know, Union 76 for 5 years, right? 10 years, and how much have you been able to accumulate? And then he'd show me, and it would be like 10% of what I've been able to accumulate. And I'd just say, what do you think? Who made the better choice? I'd just say it. And then I would make sure he understood the rule of 72, right? So this 400,000 in 10 years is going to be 800,000, and then, you know, I'd just show him. And so what happens in another 15, 20 years, I will never have to work again as long as I live. And that's simply because I made this choice.
Right.
Can you think of any reason why you wouldn't make that same choice?
Wow.
Are you arguing with that? Right? So these are the kinds of things that I did. This is how I got people going. And did you notice, what am I doing when I'm doing that? Just asking questions. I'm not telling. Do you notice I don't tell? I just ask. This is a big, big deal here. That's why I listen to that Overcoming Objections CD so many times, because if you listen to that, you'll see that I'm always asking questions. I'm not telling. What mistake most amateurs make is they're telling. They're giving information instead of asking questions. And asking questions is a key, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So I showed all my agents what I was doing. The other thing I did, I showed all my agents. I was doing what I was asking them to do, and I did this. I recruited, on average, 3 directs and closed 10 or more life sales for about 8 to 10 years in a row, and that allowed me to build a big base through first. Let me give you an idea. I got these numbers. Brendan Merton sent me these numbers from 1995, August 1995, which is basically, well, how many years ago is that? 19 years ago?
Yep.
Right. This is what I did. Through 6, I did $2,030 of premium and 795 recruits that month. Through 3rd, I did $1,824,000 in premium and 703 recruits. Through 1st, I did $481,499 in premium through 1st. Nobody's doing anything close to that right now in Primerica, by the way. Okay, 141 recruits. And in my base shop, I did 71,025 recruits.
Right.
That was August.
We were part of that.
Yeah, you're in that. I was August 1995.
Yep.
Okay. And so that was all because of the training, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
All that happened because of the training that I've been talking about. So if you want to get big, you have to be the person that you're trying to attract. Okay? You have to be that person that you're trying to attract, because like I said earlier, like attracts like, right? You need to become that person, and then you'll start attracting that person. That kind of person will feel comfortable around you. You'll have the same kind of energy. It's kind of like criminals hang around with criminals, right? Drug addicts hang around with drug addicts, right? Successful people hang around with successful people. Right. It's like, you know, single people hang around with single people, married people hang around with married people, right? Why? Because like attracts like, okay? All right, so you gotta really pay attention to who you're hanging around with, because that is who you are going to become.
Right.
So if you like what you see, good. If you don't, you need to think about that very seriously. Look, I'm gonna take a few questions and then I'm done. Any questions? But anything about the business, okay?
I'm gonna grab the mic.
Are we taping this?
A lot of
Yes.
people are recording, yeah.
No, but are you taping it?
Just on here and then there. I don't have a rod.
Oh, shoot. Make more money to have a rock.
Yes, I do. Here's the mic right here. So just, Mark, who wants to ask questions?
Nobody? Yeah, she has a question
I
back
have a
here.
question.
Yeah.
Who recruited you?
You want to give, who recruited me? That's the question.
Yeah.
A guy by the name of John Grote. His name is John Grote, and he recruited me, and he got terminated for being a bad guy. I had a very bad upline. So, but you know what the good news is about that? Did it stop me? No, your upline doesn't determine your future. You determine your future. Okay? That's the lesson from that.
A lot of people that have a lot of activity but not results.
Because they can't close.
How do you describe to somebody focused on results, not just activity?
You teach them how to close. So you have people that have a lot of activity, but not a lot, they're not getting results, because they can't close. They don't know how to close. They may think they know how to close, or you may think they do, but they don't know how, or else they would, okay? It's always they don't know how to close, they don't ask questions. I would have them listen to how to overcome objections like 100, 200 times. That's the only way you're gonna get, because if they can't close, it doesn't matter how much activity you have, you're not gonna get great results. You're gonna get some results because our business and what we offer is so good, it's fantastic. But if they can't close, if their presentation's not great, if their ability to ask questions and overcome the objections, their ratios are gonna be poor. So it's always a skill knowledge problem. Okay, so whenever you have people that are busy but they're not doing anything, skill knowledge problem. All right, that's what you have there. It's not that they're stupid or they're, you know, it's just a skill knowledge problem. Right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so you saw a lot of the stuff I did, the little role play things, right? Stay up here, don't leave. I'll get to you. Skill knowledge problem. I did these role play things. It's when you know how to do it, it's easy. Okay? It really is. Okay, the problem is when somebody's really active but they're not getting results, their skill and their knowledge or ability to you know, put across the information in a way that makes sense to a potential client or potential recruit is not good enough to get people to say, yes, I want to do it. That's the problem.
Right.
That's always a problem. So what I would do is I have people that were busy and they were bringing people or they were coming to meetings and they were doing activity but they weren't getting results. I would sit them down and I'd say, okay, let's take a look at your presentation. I'm going to be the client, you show me what you're doing, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to see what you're doing, and then I would take notes. And then after each page, I would stop and I said, okay, because I could see immediately what the problem was. Okay, as soon as he did the first page, I could see, okay, there's like 4 things he didn't either say or didn't do or did wrong or whatever, and then I would say, okay, let's fix this, and I'd fix that page, and then we go to the next page, and then I could see again, I'd take notes and I go, okay, stop, let me show you what you did here and how I would do it, and then I would. Now see, this is work.
Right.
It's really tedious, except once he gets it, he's got it. I don't have to redo, I have to do it maybe once or twice, okay? But I don't have to keep redoing it, but once, if he's a motivated person, he's really making an effort, right? Then I get him to do it exactly like me and make sure, and I have him repeat it back to me until he does it the way I want him to do it, right?
Yep.
Go back and forth until he's doing it like I want him to do it. Not like he wants to do it, the way I do it, because the way I do it, I know it works.
Right.
Okay? And then we're done. Then if he's not getting results after he's got it down, he's a lazy ass. Okay?
Right.
There's nothing I can do about that. He's not motivated. You with me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay? That's what you do with somebody like that. Wait, there's this girl, and I loved her, and you know, still love her, but that's not what she does, right? Okay? And when I started primary care, I sounded like my mom. Okay? What I did, my first fast start school I ever spoke at, right? Maybe some of you have heard this before, but I swear this is exactly how it went, okay? I was scared to death. I'd never spoken in front of, there was only 65 people. There's like 200 people here today, right? But there was like 65 people. I was so nervous. I was sweating like a pig, right? Sweating, and I was so nervous. When you get really, I got really nervous. My eyes started twitching. And then I'm sweating, my lips sweating, and I'm sweating like crazy, and I'm doing this, right? This is how I didn't wear glasses then. I was younger. If you realize how great it is what you do, you'd be shouting from the rooftops. The reason I got big and wealthy is because I believe beyond all. That was my speech. Okay, that's how I started. I'm not kidding you. I was so bad. Jen, right, my wife, she goes, "Oh my God, you were horrible." Because I'm so embarrassed. I'm never coming to another meeting. Swear to God, I swear to God, that's exactly it. And I had 12 guests there, and I recruited every single person that came that day. I had 12 people, I had 12 recruits that day, because all of them said, shoot, if he can do it,
On your Saturday training,
Yeah, Saturday training.
you drill for skill.
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Well, it's not drill for skill. I didn't do a lot of drill for skill. I showed people how to do it and then they got it. I didn't do drills for skill, honestly. I didn't do that. I just taught exactly how to do it and then people got it
Kitchen table.
at the kitchen table. And it was, Glenn, the way I treated Saturday was like everybody here was on an appointment with me. That's how I treated it because I knew that you know, because you're awesome, you've been in this a long time, you're very good. Across the kitchen table, you got a 80-90+% closing ratio. I know that you're great with clients, you know how to explain everything, you know cash value, where you know everything, right? You're great, okay? So, you are, I know you are. You've done really, really well in the business. So what I did is I knew I couldn't train everybody, but I knew that I could do it on Saturday. So I treated every Saturday as if we were on an appointment all together. They were all sitting next to me, and I had a couple here, and there's me, and then but I used overhead so that the audience could see what I was covering, and then I'd go over it with the client, just like we were in the home. That's how I train people. And then so what happens, the motivated people, they see this every week, and then they figure out how to do it, or you can tape it, right?
The big thing is you keep the energy up, because now you gotta change everything every 10 minutes.
Oh, and I didn't do that though. I did the same thing. If you listen to me, like, have you guys ever seen on those YouTube videos of me speaking in 1991?
Yeah.
I say exactly the same thing now that I said then. I haven't changed a damn thing in all that time because nothing's changed.
Art Williams.
Yeah, no, I never stopped saying, well, you know, I say the same thing today. You've known me for 20+ years, right? I haven't changed one iota. Because what works still works. It's the same thing.
Yep.
It's the fundamentals. It's always the fundamentals.
Yep.
Some people don't do an F&A. I know you value the F&A.
Yeah.
Can you explain to everybody why you emphasize F&A and put value on it?
Well, let me tell you why F&A. Number one, you can't sell every product unless you do an F&A. So
Right.
what happens, you leave so much money on the table. That's one problem. That's for yourself. That's a little selfish. But the worst part of it is you limit the client's ability to really benefit from everything we have to offer. So when you don't do an F&A, you're not doing the debt elimination strategy you have. You're not doing securities. Maybe you're just doing life, or if you're only doing securities, you're not, like if you're a securities person and that's all you do, you're not doing all the other things. So when anybody you shape it, the client loses, okay? But the worst part of it, in my opinion, over time, is the quality of your business suffers because when you do multiple product lines, the business will stay on the books much more to a higher extent than if you don't.
Yep.
And you have multiple streams of income. That's what you want to have happen. I want to have my team making money from all different places where they don't just make one amount of money, right? I mean, like I think right now, I'm a big proponent of securities, but I'm afraid right now, one thing I'm fearful about securities is the market's been just doing incredible, but the market doesn't always do that.
Yeah.
So as soon as the market goes the other direction, all of the people that only do securities, they're gonna be hating life. And all the people that only do life, right, they're missing out on tons of income in the securities part.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I wanna retain people, and I want people to make money. And I think doing a well-rounded business, you make more money, right? I mean, you know, so like in a restaurant, you don't just sell one, you go to a restaurant, you look at a menu, they have how many different things? They have a lot of different things, right? But so I think doing the F&A, it also, this is a big, big deal today, okay? It separates you from all the other peddlers out there.
That's right.
It totally separates you from what most companies are doing out there. So if I do an F&A, our F&A, I think if you're not doing it because you don't really do it, you think it's too much work, you think it's too hard, you think your people won't do it. I don't know what the rationale is for it, but I think you think too little of your people if you're not doing F&As. You think they're stupid, they think they're not capable. A lot of the same thing for people who don't get their people's securities license. They think people aren't smart enough to do it, so they acquiesce to the lowest common denominator, and I think that's a mistake, okay? I'm thinking long range. So if I'm building a business, you know, I talked to you, I left you an email message, right? So I think because you're building a great business right now, potential to be a great business. It's a good business right now, but it could be a great business. So if you implement more securities in your business over time, when you're like, have a business that looks like my business, which you have the total ability to do, in my opinion, right? If you don't do securities, that could cost you $500,000 or $600,000 a year of income. But you know what? I'm not the only one that makes money in the securities. you guys make a lot of money in securities. I'm not the only one, you guys make tons of money in securities. So my guys would lose out on that income too, right? I don't want them to lose out on that income. I think there's big money there, right?
Hector, back when a lot of us that were in your base shop got started, you helped us obviously with some of the fundamentals
Yeah.
of closing and prospecting and all that. And the biggest gift you gave, I know Steve and I talk about all the time, was Tom Hopkins. You know,
Right.
learning how
Yeah.
to,
Learning how to
going
close.
to those boot camps and all that kind of stuff. Who is the current Tom Hopkins that you would recommend today for people starting out today?
Well, you know, honestly, I would still recommend that. I mean, there's a lot of good, I mean, I like Grant Cardone's stuff a lot. I like Grant, he's become a friend, and because he's really direct.
Yeah.
And I'm really direct. I like direct. I think direct works. You know, not rude, but direct.
Right.
I'm a very direct person, and I think Grant or Tom still, I listened, and you've heard me say it a million times, right? And you guys listen to it too. How to Master the Art of Selling Anything. It's a generic sales program, and there's 12 audios, and it covers all different parts of sales. Like, so if you want to just be a well-rounded professional salesperson, I would listen to those. I mean, I listened to them literally 2 or 3 hours a day for 3 years, over and over and over and over and over again. And why I did that, because I wanted it all to be reflexive. So when you see me doing this today like I did, and I'm doing these little role plays, the reason I'm able to do it just like I did it 20 years ago is because I have it down so cold I don't even have to think about it. I just do it. It's just there. And that's, if you can get to that place, for me, there's no doubt in my mind, one of the most important things I did in my career was learning how to close, because I was very shy. I'm a shy, you saw my mom say that I was shy, I was quiet, I was shy. I was the kind of person,